Hi, Ankush. Thank you so much for taking out time for this interview. For the viewers, may we request you to please share your journey, your story in your own words?
Okay, yeah. Thanks for having me, Diksha. So, I think my MBA journey per se began in maybe 2019 or so. But leading up to that point, I spent about 7 years working. That was about 3 years in consulting, 4 years in asset management, and already done an MBA in India before at IMT Ghaziabad.
Right.
So in 2019, I decided I kind of make the switch to like let's say a college which gives me opportunities for global mobility, and that's where the whole journey started. Decided to take the GMAT, and went through the whole process, applications, a lot of back and forth, deciding what you need to do, and eventually decided upon ESA Business School in Barcelona,
All
and
right.
that's what I'm currently at. And I'm in my final few months, so a lot of introspection going on.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Hope you're enjoying there.
Having a really good time. Can't complain. Barcelona is a beautiful city.
I'm sure. So, in your opinion, what are a few factors or actions you took that made all the difference?
I think when you at the very beginning of the process, when you look at the whole GMAT journey and the college application journey, it seems to be something which is like really long and difficult, and that's what kind of demotivates some people. It did happen with me as well.
All
But
right.
if you look at it in small bits and pieces,
Mm-hmm.
at any given point of time, and maybe that's how I worked. I decided if I'm focused on GMAT, I will only focus on GMAT, and I kind of tailored a plan which would work for me. I realized that I can't consistently keep on studying for 6 months because my like peak performance will not be is not sustainable over 6 months. So I created a plan which would help me optimize my study time with the work I was doing, and then when I hit the peak,
Mm-hmm.
strategically plan when I take the test. Um, Once I did that, then it kind of became applying to college. Applying to colleges is a whole other process because it involves a lot of networking, identifying which colleges you really want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And it works at two fronts because if you look at any of the top 25, 30 colleges, they're all great colleges in their own right, and they're doing something really well. So you have to figure out which are the colleges that you want to go to and why. And similarly, the other colleges are also trying to assess you that why should we have this particular candidate. So building those relationships kind of becomes important.
Absolutely.
And in that journey, I kind of realized that even though there were several great colleges, I resonated more with a few, and I did not resonate with a few colleges, and which was a little bit of a little eye-opening for me, primarily because that's when I learned that certain colleges try to bring in certain kinds of people, certain types of personalities, and for that reason, I resonated with some of them.
All right.
So like networking became a really big part of the second part of the journey, and understanding why you want to go to college, which just kind of naturally fed into the application processes to say that this is why I want to be here. This is why I think the MBA is going to add some value for me. And of course, once you kind of zero in on that and you go to a college,
Mhm.
it's a whole other journey after.
Yeah, okay, that's nice. So, with the benefit of hindsight, what are a few mistakes you believe you committed in the process?
Oof, a lot of them I would imagine. But I think again, like just starting from the GMAT days, you do tend to kind of get caught up with your life, and you're like, oh, let me, I'll skip studying today and I'll continue later, which is something that you probably shouldn't do. You just like keep at it.
Mm.
And thankfully, I had that realization relatively early on. But secondly, when you start applying to colleges, I think I probably could have networked more and try to figure out my fit in a few other colleges.
All right.
I saw the benefit of networking in certain institutes more than the others, and that's where I learned that okay, had I put in the effort, to get know those colleges more, it would kind of benefited me more. But again, like you said, it's hindsight. So I guess those are certain learnings,
Yes.
and again, primarily because when you're talking about applying to colleges, rather than having a generic application, you want to tailor it to your application to college, what colleges want to hear, and or rather, you kind of want to put your story in perspectives that they would like to see, and of course, while
Yeah.
showing your diversity, but at the same time resonating on a certain aspects, and
Right.
that only comes out through networking opportunities.
That is true. So, what would be those few common mistakes that you will advise all the GMAT aspirants and MBA applicants to avoid?
First one would be like take a structured approach towards it.
All right.
Don't try to look at the whole thing in totality. Break it down into its the smaller parts so that it doesn't seem like overwhelming at any point, because that's what potentially something that could demoralize you. Um, Once you've done that, once you've taken the GMAT, okay, another tip on the GMAT would be to like spend a lot of time deconstructing all the tests that you've done. Even if you take a mock, spend the same amount of time, if not more, deconstructing how you could have done a test better. Whether even if you did a question right, figure out is there a way to do it kind of faster, and that's how you kind of maximize your score.
Right.
When you're writing applications, network with people. You know, you it's kind of interesting because the more you kind of build those relationships, people will want to help you out. People, if they feel that they resonate with your, like they think that you are a right fit for their college, like students, alumni, they will help you out as well. They will be like, okay, can I, if you want, I can take a look at your application. I can do a mock interview for you, which goes a long way to kind of get to know the kind of interviews that you will have, and by extension, because sometimes those students and alumni know the admissions committees, you can get to know about the people who you're getting interviewed by, and start building a relationship with them as well.
Yeah.
So I would say networking is the name of the game, especially when you're writing your applications. And I would say probably not try to, target your colleges. Of course, have your plan A, B's, and C's in place, but at the same time, you can only. I guess this is very varies from person to person, but you can only network with so many colleges at a particular time, and like meaningfully network with them.
Okay.
So kind of pick your colleges. Don't go like, I'm going to apply to 25, network with 25 colleges in one go. It's just not
Right.
doable. At least I really was.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what would you like to say about your experience and learnings from managing the application timeline?
So I think getting started early is something which is really important. Underestimate the importance of that stage of the process. We kind of get fixated on getting a GMAT and like, okay, once the GMAT is through, we'll, just cruise through the applications. But it's not like that, because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of it comes down to networking, you understanding yourself, which colleges you want to go to,
Right.
connecting with the alumni, connecting with the admissions committees, and hence give yourself time to figure out which are the colleges that you want to apply to, and then figure out if you're applying to a certain college, what are the things that you want to say to them. Every college wants to hear something different, or every college has different process, belief principles, the underlying principles that they have, and you want to kind of touch upon those in your applications,
Right.
to make your story more effective, to make it more convincing, and really fine tune your story. So give yourself time to get feedback, to do a version 2, version 3, version 4 of your stories.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm going to say is, I think just give yourself time. I kept about 8 or 9 months for this part of the process. Even after keeping that much time, I did feel like, oh my God, I'm running out of time towards the end of it. So, everyone's journey is a little different there. But
Yeah, that is true. So, would you like to describe your interview experience with the B school?
sure, yeah, I did a couple of interviews, but I'll kind of stress upon the one that I did at ESA. So I had one interview and one assessment day. Where the interview process is, of course, you're just having a conversation for about 45 minutes to an hour with the interviewer, and the assessment day is a process where you go to a certain location. I think that's being conducted online, and you, along with other candidates, you do a case study kind of. You get into a case study conversation, and you present your ideas to everybody else who's there, with the objective of kind of get a sense of how you behave in a social setting. So my interview process was fairly relaxed. I had, kind of spoken with a bunch of people already at the school,
Okay.
and I knew a few people at the admissions committee as well. So when I started speaking with the lady in question, I started having an interview. Again, I knew about the school, so it was a very relaxed conversation, very structured. Tell me about yourself, understanding my motivations about why ESA and why I want to do an MBA, and secondly, especially a second MBA, and of course, some behavioral questions.
Okay.
So if you collect enough feedback from people, you do some mock interviews, you kind of know what to expect, how to respond to it. So yeah, I think it was a very relaxed. At no point did I feel like, oh my God, I'm super stressed, because the interview was also very friendly, which kind of made the process a lot easier for me.
Wow.
And then we had an assessment day as well, where we went to, I think that this was back in 2019. So we all went down to Singapore to kind of have this joint assessment, where we were broken down into smaller groups,
Hmm.
and we were given a case study to kind of work on and present to everybody else. And periodically, some of those evaluators would come and see how you're interacting within the group, of whatever their criteria for evaluation was.
Right.
That was a great experience by itself, because You get to see firsthand the people that you will be kind of studying with, and I think that was one of the those deciders for me. Like when I went and met the potential candidates, they weren't even candidates, but I felt like, okay, these guys are really smart, and I would love to be within in a classroom with such people. So I think that was also a really interesting part of the process for me. It was a really interesting part of the journey, and definitely one of the key moments where I decided that yes, this is the school that I need to go to.
Wow, this is very interesting. And it's really nice to know that you had a very relaxed interview experience. So, can you tell us more about your MBA experience?
So, well, I joined my MBA in 2020 in the thick of COVID. I think the only saving grace in that period was that managed to get the visas last minute, managed to get the flights last minute, but we had our entire experience was in person. That was one major advantage that we had. Overall, I would say it's been a wonderful journey. I think wonderful is not a word which can cover everything, but from an academic standpoint, even though I had done a BBA before and a MBA degree at IMT Ghaziabad in India. I thought coming here I would know the course content, third time over should be fine, but it's a completely different experience. Especially given that it's a case study method, you get while you touch upon a lot of topics that you have kind of you've drilled down into academically in the studies that you've done before, but
Right.
you take a basic concept and you get the perspectives of different people from different parts of the world coming from different professional backgrounds, and that is really insightful. You're sitting in a classroom and you could be looking at a concept that economics that you've been studying for the last 7 years of your life, and but still be like completely shocked at how little you know about how a demand curve and a supply curve really works in the real world because of the experiences which people bring and the professors, the concepts that they talk about. So academically, an amazing journey. The people here are great. Again, I like I mentioned earlier, I feel that every college tries to bring a certain personality type to their colleges, and because of that, when I'm here at ESA,
Mm-hmm.
if there's someone who I've never met before, I go and talk to them for the first time. Like I feel that the connection kind of like our wavelengths match in the first 5 minutes of our conversation, more often than not, which is an amazing experience to meet like-minded people. And again, they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from all kinds of different backgrounds. So
Yeah.
to explore their culture, explore their festivals, explore their food. I mean, if you're a foodie, I'm a big foodie, and just get to know their life stories is a really enriching experience.
Right.
So the people aspect of it has been great. The city of Barcelona is beautiful. It's the weather is great. So and I think there's so many things to do over here. So all in all, I mean, it's just been an excellent journey. These last 2 years have been full of introspection. College, the MBA process, starting from the application state, makes you think about who you are, what you want to do, and it really pushes you. The MBA process is just an extension of that. It's trying to push you to be better constantly and to think about what is really important for you,
Mm-hmm.
even whether it's professionally, personally. So it's been a good learning process for me as well. I've found out a few things about myself because I had the time and space and the context to kind of really develop those thoughts.
Wow, I think it's quite a wholesome experience.
Of definitely, I think we evaluate colleges from the perspective of what are their rankings, what are the average salaries post MBA, what's the jobs after the MBA percentages like, which are all important metrics for a variety of reasons for a variety of people. Getting understanding the college culture is really important in knowing if that's the kind of place that you want to go. And for that reason, you have to kind of decide, is a 1 year MBA good for you or is a 2 year MBA good for you, because they're different experiences altogether.
Yeah, that is true. So, would you like to share your job search experience during the MBA? Like, what tips
Mhm.
would you give to the future candidates regarding that?
I think same as it's the MBA application process is a very good kind of stepping stone towards the job search process, because a lot of it is about starting early, understanding what you really want from an organization, and then networking within those organizations.
Right.
Networking plays a so you have structured recruitment and you have unstructured recruitment. The structured recruitment could be some of these companies that come up front, they know the requirements for the next year, but the unstructured ones are the ones where you have to network a little bit more than some of the structured recruitment. So again, even the structured ones, you're kind of spending a lot of time getting to know the people, getting to know the organizations, and why you want to go to any particular one. So networking, regardless, is really important. So starting early, getting to know the organizations, and kind of tailoring your approach to those organizations.
Right.
There is no point in writing 100 cover letters to organizations and just like blasting them out. You're better off connecting with 5 or 10 people really well, and then understanding if there's a fit for you, and then positioning yourself for those fits. We all tend to make that mistake. Every year on year, your seniors will tell you, don't do this. But these are certain mistakes that you would want to make, or you will make on your own. You'll be like, no, no, I'm going to apply it for everything. I can manage it. But then you realize at one point that no, I think I need to tailor my approach towards organizations, and not just, of course, you do that, but there's no point in sending a blast email of 60 or 100 to 160 or 100 organizations saying that this is my CV, this is my cover letter, and I'm interested in the organization. Better off fine tuning them.
Right. Yeah, it's always better to filter out the options. So, can you tell us about like how the entire pre-application experience as well as your MBA journey so far has contributed to your growth?
The pre-application experience, I think one of the first things that you kind of do with, and especially at Experts Global, what we did was they sent me this really big docket about asking me what are my motivations, and
Mm-hmm.
describe or what are the 10 things unique about you, which really gets you to start thinking. Like, once you're down like 3 or 4, you're like, oh my god, what is unique about me? And that's where the real introspection starts, and you start figuring out, okay, this is what is important, this is what is not important. More often than not, you will write a lot of things which don't necessarily make sense, but then you work upon them, you refine your thought processes, you structure them in a way that makes sense. And that really helps when you go into your MBA, because when you just are into the MBA program, everything goes from 0 to 100 instantly.
Right.
And you're managing social commitments, you're managing professional networking, academic commitments, and all of this is fairly important. I would say that all of these aspects are very important. And so if you've done all this pre-work of introspection, of understanding who you are, what you really want, will go a long way to kind of help you in the MBA application process. So from that perspective, like the whole document that I filled out initially at Express Global about what are my motivations, and who I am and what is interesting about me, and those kind of fed into when I started working on my CVs, when I started working on my cover letters, to say that these are the aspects that I can bring about because I had done that certain degree of thinking beforehand, before starting the process.
Right.
So I think that's where, like, the application process and maybe some part of your MBA journey definitely ties in. But of course, when you arrive at the MBA, the first month was just spent on this, like figuring out what do you really want from your job, what do you really want from your college,
Okay.
and that again builds off for what you've thought about yourself and what you are, your own personal goals. And once you kind of figure that out, you can chart your own MBA journey. There are a million opportunities. There are 3 different events happening every day,
Wow.
and you have to pick and choose what you want to do. Do you want to go for a social event? Do you want to go for like a college networking event that's happening, or do you just want to go out with your friends and play some sports, or just sit at home and just read your cases? You can't do them all, so you have understanding what your needs are from the MBA
Okay.
will help you make those decisions down the line. And but even if you do, you'll still feel like, oh my god, only if I could have like 48 hours a day, I would do this as well. But uh,
Oh, it's quite a hectic schedule, though, and it's difficult to pick and choose from the wide variety of amazing options that you have on a daily basis.
you constantly, like, you could pack your calendar from 9 a.m. till like 10 p.m. and you'd see like, oh my god, I didn't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things today, or I couldn't attend 1, 2, 3 things. So the MBA is what you make of it. There is no paucity of opportunities for people, and it doesn't matter what kind of opportunities you're looking for. You just want to go and talk to people who have worked in a similar industry as you, and kind of learn from people from different parts of the world. That's something that you can do as well. I have friends here who have kind of who've come from certain professional backgrounds, and they've created these discussion groups between themselves, and they share their experiences, things that they're learning.
Mm.
And of course, then they rope in the professors as well, like, who are super happy to get involved, because not only do the professors learn from these people coming in, but at the same time, these people can kind of add to the learning experience of the professors as well. So there's a again, and these are random opportunities which were created completely inorganically, or not provided necessarily by the colleges. So this is just one example of how you can keep yourself busy, even if you already have a busy schedule, by getting involved in things that really interest you in a professional front.
Wow. Interesting. So, what would be your final suggestion or message to all the viewers watching this video?
So the first one would be, break down the whole journey into smaller goals. If you're looking at the GMAT, just look at the GMAT. Create a structured plan for it. You can't you can't keep on preparing for 9 months at a stretch. You can't keep on preparing for 12 months at a stretch. Once you hit your peak, you'll be able to sustain the peak for us whatever duration. Maybe it's 30 days, 40 days, 50, 60. It depends on you. You should know that about yourself or try and develop that understanding. That's when you attempt to take the GMAT and you get whatever you need to get. When you get into the application process, spend some time figuring out why do you want to go to a certain college and if it's right for you. The rankings is only one part of the whole process or one part of the whole assessment. Give yourself time to do this
Okay.
because it's going to help you not only in the sense that you will know the colleges that you're going to, but
Right.
you will be able to get help from the alumni, the students of those colleges to help you to get to those colleges. And that's what you really want. So you got to build those bonds. And once you're at a college, be prepared to use all those learnings and introspections that you've done because things will go from 0 to 100 instantly, and then you'll kind of have to pick and choose your life's battles as to what is more important for you on a given day. And of course, there will be good days, there will be bad days throughout this entire journey.
Yeah.
You just have to remember why you're doing it. You constantly ask yourself that is it worth the risk? Is it have you taken the right step?
Hmm.
But journey is worth it. At least that's my opinion. On all fronts, as I have mentioned earlier, it is a growth. It is a growth process, and when one thought that I want to leave people with is, and something which kind of was my one of the factors or one of the things that I would tell people when they would ask me why an MBA, why do you want to leave your job, why a second MBA, why do you want to leave your country, and you're looking at growing professionally and personally. And at the end of the day, if you are not going to take a risk on yourself and to go out and grab those opportunities which are out there in the world, no one else will be able to take that risk on you. So do it for your own sake and make the most of it. When you get those opportunities, do not leave any stone unturned.
This is amazing. It's truly been an inspiring story to listen to, and we're so thankful to you for sharing that with us. And I'm sure your suggestions are going to help a lot of students in their journey to success. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to help out in any way that I can. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.